Hey, what's up, my class? Today I'm going to show you how to work with leading lines. Leading lines is one of my favorite concepts to be able to teach because it's an easy one that I think everybody can grasp when they see that. Leading lines has to deal with when we have a point in a photo where our eyes naturally start and then we kind of travel down it. It's any kind of line that usually can be straight or zigzag, but it always kind of points. A lot of the times we'll see it. It usually starts at the bottom and it moves towards the center, but it doesn't have to be. Leading lines as a definition has to deal with when we look at a photo, our eyes are kind of naturally drawn along lines. And sometimes by thinking about where we place those lines in a composition, you can affect the way that you view the image. It really pulls us in, like we're having a journey through this scene. And there can be totally different types of lines when we actually look at it. They could be straight, they could be diagonal, curvy, zigzag, radial, spin it around, and each one is used to kind of enhance a photo. So when we look at this photo, we're noticing we see a street and the line itself tends to travel in this kind of curvy area. Now, some of you naturally, maybe your eyes started at the top and you went down, or some at the bottom, but most people don't start in the middle. And that's because leading lines are lines that lead. It's all in the name. So it's the idea of when we see something geometric that's laid out in a line pattern, our eyes start at one point and we travel. And that's what's cool about this composition, is it forces people to be able to travel with you. So when we see kind of on the walkway, the bridge, most of our eyes start here and we're just able to travel down. Some people will see it and it's like this kind of trapezoidal view. And that's an easy way to do leading lines, but it's not the only way. But I like how we're seeing it in a walkway. Here's something when we look in architecture and we're able to look at the building and we see the leading lines and the structures of the windows that really tend to point on up. What was cool about this photo is the photographer happened to catch, kind of the airplane that's pointing here. It's like the lines really seem to point towards it. We can see it if we use like railroad tracks, or if we're looking on a bridge, anywhere that has a point that our eyes tend to travel down, whether the photo is taken in a portrait or it's taken in landscape. We follow it. And again, the lines don't have to be straight. They can curve. But it's the idea, it's a photo that has some natural lines that we start to move on and we travel from, and we just naturally tend to look, where the lines are going, whether it's up or whether it's down. And again, when we look, we can see just on the pier, we're following all the way down to kind of that center point. Some might even say like a vantage point. In this one, we're seeing shadow that's making us kind of follow down, along with the elevated railroad tracks that sit up top. Here's another photo from a different view with the elevated railroad tracks, where we tend to just kind of follow it. Streets are easy to see this on because of the painted lines that move. And the trick really is with these is you want to make sure that you get centered and you take, really the trick is to make sure that there's no cars coming, or it's the last photo you're going to take. But when we're taking a photo like this, is to make sure that you're centered and you're really able to see those lines as they move. So even with dealing something like a bridge here, we follow it. Again, railroad tracks again. Architecture, where we can see the lines that really tend to make us move. And we can see it in natural things too, like something like, like a swimming pool, where we've got kind of these arcs coming on through. Even a throwback to Disneyland, with the roller coaster ride and the moves that tend to be here. Architecture, again, is an easy place to be able to see it, where we just kind of look and the lines that are predominant really point toward us. But it's also something we can see in nature too, when we're looking at, something like the waterfall that really tends to move us down. Or if we take something where we've got a model, the lines can tend to point or lead us right towards that. But again, the lines don't have to be straight. They could be something that curves around. And so our eyes can tend to follow and move in that kind of radial pattern. But the point in leading lines is there's always one area and we follow it down, which gives us the idea that they're lines that lead us, which we refer to as leading lines.